different industries, expert from each industry. We're going to go through the challenges, the hardship, and the opportunities. Join the conversation. Text Expert35 to learn more. Today, I've got Tracy Vaught, a restaurateur expert. How are you today, Tracy?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
No, thank you for joining us. And really, I've got my cheat sheet on everything you've done. You're a geologist turned into restaurant business and winning all these awards. Tell us a little bit about you.
Let's see. I've been in the restaurant business for about 36 years. And before that, I was a geologist. And I started with Backstreet Cafe in Houston. And then with my husband, opened Hugo's regional Mexican restaurant, Caracol Coastal Mexican restaurant, and Sochi Oaxacan restaurant.
And you've got a book as well. You've got a couple of books, right?
A couple of cookbooks.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Here in Houston, you're a celebrity. Everybody knows both of you guys. They know your restaurants. Everybody's always asking, what are you doing right now? So currently, during this lockdown, you guys have been doing curbside, right?
That's right.
And what are some of the challenges that have gone through? And just tell us a little bit about how that's going. And now restaurants are opening today. So tell us a little bit of where you've been and where you're going.
Okay. We decided that Backstreet Cafe and Hugo's, which are located in neighborhoods, would be open for to-go and curbside and delivery. And that Caracol, which is located in the Galleria area, which is a shopping district and a office area, would be closed because that one, many of the people are gone. There's no shopping now, and everybody's working from home. And then Sochi is located downtown in the convention area, along near also the ball parks and concert venues. And so since none of that's going on, we decided to close that one temporarily as well. So we started with curbside delivery, pretty quickly. We actually were in the process of increasing the number of delivery companies we were working with. And when this happened, everybody almost got frozen because there was such demand. It was hard to get them online, finish getting them online.
Sure.
We did that, and then we wanted to provide some jobs for some of our waiters. So we had a waiter who'd been a delivery driver before, and he sort of taught us what to do, and we brought 3 waiters on to deliver. So we just tried to adapt as fast as we could.
Absolutely. And I think you guys are doing a great job. And I know restaurants are opening today in Houston. Here's our first question from listeners. What's the most important challenge for restaurants right now to stay open?
When they say to stay open, do they mean to not go under?
Yes, yes.
Well, I guess that would be preserving capital and trying to make something out of the to-go and delivery, or in the case of the people who are opening today, the 25% occupancy of their dining rooms. It's a challenge. Obviously, at 25%, you would think you'd lose money, and probably that is the case. But I think we're in a sort of a desperate situation, and we have to do what we have to do. And some restaurants will determine that it's worth the risk to go ahead and open with the 25%, and some will wait until it's 50%.
Right, and there's been some government help, right? There's a program that helps you guys get kind of like a loan, but you're saying some of these deadlines are just unreasonable, right?
That's right. The PPP, many restaurants have gotten PPP funds, which are generally equal to 2.5 times your monthly payroll. So it's a large loan, since we all it's a employee heavy business, so payroll is large. And in order to get this loan, you've got to pay it back in 2 years. So that's a very short time frame for that payback.
And you'd want to, you say right now it's 2 years, so you want to move it from June 30th, right?
Well, June 30th is the deadline for staffing up, which
Mhm.
is too short because we're limping along at 25% of our dining room capacity. We really need that June 30th date pushed back to December 31st for the time limit for staffing up.
Yeah, and that's going to allow people to open up safely. And maybe at that point you can even go beyond the 25 to make it a return on investment, right?
Oh, well, I believe that the plan the governor laid out says that as long as nothing changes, that it's 25% occupancy of your dining room for approximately 2 weeks. And then on May 18th, which is a couple more days, it would go to 50%. That as long as we don't have a setback, that's the plan.
Right. Here's a question from Greg. He's like, what is it going to look like when we come back for dinner? Like, what's the new normal?
I'm glad that Greg asked that question because I think all our guests need to understand that it's not going to look the same.
Mm-hmm.
And your waiter will be wearing a mask and possibly gloves. The menus will no longer be, big, beautiful, colorful menus. They're going to be, disposable generally, or they could be laminated and wiped down. Um, at the front door, there'll probably be signage talking about COVID-19 and the symptoms, asking you if you have those symptoms, please go home. Um, there will be the employees will have their temperature taken at the beginning of each shift, and they'll fill out a form, saying that they have not come in contact with anybody who has the disease or they haven't exhibited those symptoms themselves. There'll be a cleaning team,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning doorknobs and frequently touched surfaces.
Right.
So it's going to be different. The spacing of the tables will be at least 6 feet. The groups at the tables will be at least 6 feet apart
Right.
to prevent the spread, and that's what it's going to look like.
It's
It's
going
going
to
to
be
be
really
different.
different. And I'm sure there's going to be less servers per table so that you're not, having a server touch multiple tables so there's just going to be a new environment. So I guess be patient, right? Is what you're
Right.
trying to tell them.
That's right. My message to guests would be don't come in with specific expectations. Just roll with the new way it is. And, if we're all good about this, eventually it's all going to get better. But for now, that's the conditions that we can open under.
Right. And a great question is, how are people going to pay? Right. I mean, are you going to take cash? I mean, are you going to do a distance? Like, what do you think the way people are going to pay for their service?
There's a lot of talk about that, and some restaurants are talking about Apple Pay or pay. Actually, some restaurants will have you go to their website, place your own order, and pay that way. And maybe that's a more casual restaurant. A less casual restaurant might take your card. They might sanitize your card,
Wow.
take it, sanitize it, run it, sanitize it, give it back to you.
Right.
That's another way that people are talking about doing it. So we'll just have to see how this all plays out. But, that each restaurateur is going to have their own um, guidelines that they use. I mean, they'll, of course, adhere to CDC guidelines, but
Sure.
they'll have their own way because the geography of their restaurant is different, or the menu is different, or the location is different, the food is different. So, you'll see it handled in different ways at different restaurants.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a great question for you. Like, how are you going to protect your own employees best, or how can they protect their employees best when restaurants do open?
That is a very good question because that's one of the reasons that we are delaying our opening. I want the employees to feel safe and I want them to be ready. And right now, they're not quite ready. And I'd say, it's not that they don't know the protocols, they do, but I think, we've been operating for a month and a half in a sealed environment that we control. And then we are making food and taking it to people's cars with masks and gloves, and or taking it to their home with masks and gloves. And to uh, now what will happen is that we're going to have to break the seal on the restaurant and invite guests in, and so that is more of a challenge for us.
Right.
So I think, us getting used to the idea of that and talking about the different protocols that we're going to use that time is important for us.
Right.
So we're going to take that time to plan it out as well as we can and for everybody to be ready.
And while you're doing that, you're still doing delivery. So this was a timely question. What are your thoughts on delivery servicing keeping 30%?
Oh, I mean, I just think it's awful. And that's the reason that we took our own delivery.
Right.
Uh, so, I would rather, you know, have somebody who works for us go and be a familiar face at the front door
Right.
rather than right now the delivery companies are hiring anybody and everybody because there's such a demand. So not only are they taking a percentage, but you know they're not screening those people as well as they could, I think.
Right.
But it's a desperate situation for everyone.
Right. And great, I mean, great answers in terms of you're protecting. We understand now a little bit why you're choosing to, hold off on opening. So as an expert opinion from you, what should the owners do? So this is just each owner, and just to give them a little bit of trust in the system. What would you say as an expert in this industry?
Um, each owner is going to have their own way of doing this. And I feel like some are going to feel like they're ready to open now and they can figure out the 25% and they've got their employees ready to go and their protocols are written up and they're ready. Others are going to wait a little bit, and that's fine. I think what we need is patience and grace in order to give everybody their own, um, allow them to do this in their own style.
Right. And then as long as they're staying safe. So this is my
That's right.
favorite part of the show, right? Is three things to do now. And I guess we can break it down. Let's talk about three things that, us as how can we, get into this new normal. So talking to the consumers that are going to go to these restaurants, what are three things that we should look at?
I think the consumer need to understand that each restaurant is going to be doing it their own way, and they need to give that leeway and maybe suspend some of the critiquing that goes along with restaurants. It's fun to say, to get on Yelp or whatever. I would ask people not to do that, but to support their local restaurants
Right.
because it's a very difficult time for us. So I would say, roll with it, be positive, don't complain, you know, um, be a part of the solution.
Yeah, a question that popped up, I'll put it in there because they're saying, how can Houstonians help and support? And you just said it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be patient, and just give us an opportunity to, you know, or give you guys an opportunity to do what you do because we're employing Houston back again. I mean, I think restaurants take so much burden in terms of the amount of jobs they guys provide.
Right. The restaurant industry, I believe, is the second largest employer, second to the federal government. So
Wow.
it's huge, and so it's very important. We're an important segment yeah, of the economy, and there are many businesses that depend on us. So it could be just a house of cards if we're not careful.
Absolutely. And I think working on that program, I think that's something we can support you is that PPP program. If there's a petition, we're going to put those notes on this chat so that people can sign a petition if there's some way that the community can get involved to support the restaurants, because we want you guys back, but we know you guys are going to do it as safe as possible. Again, thank you, Tracy. It's so great having you on the show. I think you just gave us so much to think about. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking, like, thank you for being who you are and being such a part of the community and helping people get through this.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
All right. If you want any information about the restaurants when they're opening, text Expert43. This is Tracy Vaught, and she will be able to answer some questions on the chat. So we're going to put all the notes about the resources, about how to get involved. And we just so look forward to you being back in business. And I know you're in business now, but open, right? And safely. And we'll do everything we can, supporting you. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
All right. And we're going to put this on there. This is Tracy. You can text Expert43. We've got a great lineup coming up. We've got social media. We've also have balance, and we've got mortgages coming up next week. So join us 9:35 on Expert35. Thank you, guys.
We educate during difficult times. We collaborate at Expert35. This is for a better tomorrow and a better today. Let's come together, and together we will find a way. You got